Is there anyone sitting there?
No.
No?
Are you sitting?
Ralph, he's the most expensive mic changer in the world. We're coming now to the final session, which is the awards and the closing remarks. Now, several people here have said, awards? We didn't know about the awards. If we'd known, we'd have entered. I think we tried to make it very well known that we have an award scheme. So let me say again, the awards is open to any brand that qualifies for either a new product launch or a campaign or a digital award, a digital campaign within the previous 12 months. And we have a number of submissions, and those are the ones that were submitted to you yesterday and the day before. So I'll say it now and I'll say it again later. Please, you have lots to be proud of, lots of good work. Let's see them and let's have a judging by your peers, the people who come to this conference. Now, in terms of the winners, you'll remember from yesterday that we have the New Product of the Year award, we have the Creative Award, we have the Worldwide Digital Award. We have an additional award too, which is a Special Achievement Award. And in a moment, I'm going to ask the winner of that award to come and to make a very small address about their campaign, a 5-minute presentation. It's the only time that we're going to ask any of the winners to speak, because we are being live streamed and we have to stick to our time. And the reason that we've chosen this brand goes back to what I said in the keynote, which is that the pace of growth will increase if we think about the pharmacy, if we think about adjacencies, we think about the consumer, and we think about e-commerce. And we wrap that all up with some innovation. And there are brands out there which are not normally defined as consumer healthcare, but are absolutely spot on in offering benefits to consumers connected with health. And one of the best examples of that is Sensodyne. And we've seen that in several references over the last 2 days to Sensodyne targeting sensitive teeth and pain. And pain is one of the #1 consumer healthcare indications. So here we have a brand that is not normally classified within consumer health, but is offering that benefit. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask Justin from GSK to come and spend a few minutes just telling us about the campaign for Sensodyne Ramadan. So Justin, if you will come here. I haven't seen this before, so I'm looking forward to it as much as you are.
Thank you. Hello. Good afternoon. So I would like to share with you Sensodyne Ramadan. It is the recipient of the 2018 Special Achievement of the Year Award. And on behalf of GSK and my GSK colleagues, Vinay, Jakey, Bothoni, and Pawan, my counterparts in Indonesia, I'd like to give you a bit of a background on Sensodyne Ramadan. So, let me guess how to. Sensodyne Ramadan is about, as you know, Sensodyne is about relieving teeth sensitivity. And we have identified Ramadan as an occasion wherein teeth sensitivity is at its most relevant. As you know, in Ramadan, Muslims fast, and during this time, they experience teeth sensitivity the most. They break their fast either before sunset or after sunrise, or the other way around. And because of it, during this time, teeth sensitivity becomes at its most relevant, because that is when Indonesian consumers suffer the most. We featured 3 films in Sensodyne Ramadan, father-in-law and a son-in-law, siblings, and an aunt and a niece. And in this, you can see that we stuck to our brand essence, that we feature honest testimonials. And during this time, they show that with Sensodyne, they are relieved of their sensitivity. And at the same time, they are able to be bonded to each other very closely. We exploded it in digital, in social, in digital video, in programmatic, in search, and actually it was our most outstanding and most breakthrough digital campaign for Sensodyne, achieving 16 million completed views, 14 million reach in social alone, 4 million engagement in social, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also we achieved 98% share of voice in search without us going out of the essence of Sensodyne. And we're very proud of this initiative because it did not just change our business in Indonesia, but as a matter of fact, we stuck to our brand essence and we stuck to the essence of Sensodyne, which is authenticity. As you can see, with all of those pairs, those are real sensitivity consumers, Indonesian consumers, and they tell their story, and we exploded it in digital. After 3 years of modest growth for Sensodyne Indonesia, our consumption jumped by plus 25% in May 2018. We've also achieved our highest ever shares for Sensodyne at 7.5% in 3 years. Our average share was around 6.5%. We jumped to 7.5%, our highest ever. And also, Sensodyne Indonesia broke through the very prestigious top 10 global, biggest Sensodyne global markets in Southeast Asia. So we were able to lace a Sensodyne campaign with the richness of Indonesian culture by leveraging Ramadan, Iftar, the breaking fast, and driving relevance for sensitivity during this occasion. So that is a bit of a background, but I think it will be best to actually share with you one of the films that we have produced and also a short video on the results that we were able to achieve. Play video.
Sama tante, apalagi pas buka puasa.
Nahan ngilu padahal lihat minuman dingin kayak es kelapa gini itu semangat banget, tapi pas pertama kali minum langsung pasti itu yang bikin mukaku jadi garang.
Tapi kita tetap aja sih kasih minuman dingin ke tante.
Dari situ aku mulai pakai Sensodyne. Pas buka puasa itu udah nggak ada nyut gitu, nggak ada lagi.
Jadi kita sekarang baru tahu kalau tante kita itu ternyata keren banget.
Calon ayah mertua saya itu terkesan.
Tapi pas pertama kali minum langsung
Gak ngilu lagi, kita berdua sama-sama takut dan senang kan.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, mic on? Put my mic on, please. So, Justin, in accepting this award, I want you to accept the award not only for this great campaign, but on behalf of the whole of the Sensodyne brand, which over many years has built a specialist position. So please come up and receive the award.
I would like to call on my teammates CP, Jiki, and Vinay, of course, to come up to the stage with me. We're all taking care of Sensodyne.
Then please, as long as it's no more than half the audience, can you please come up?
No, these are three ladies sitting there in the fourth row.
I know GSK is very modest. We are being live streamed to the world. Even President Trump is watching this. So can I ask you to come up as quickly as possible to receive this award?
Let's wait for them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And last but not least. So which of you is going to hold the award?
I'll hold it.
There we are.
Thank you very much.
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for this honor.
It's a pleasure. So that award was given by a panel of judges.
How do I?
Australia team. And you remember the videos, so they're not with us today. They'll be very excited to hear that. So who do you think was the winner of the various entries? Who do you think was the winner? Mickey Fernandez, do you have a view on who was the winner? Come on out and collect the award. Mickey Fernandez, representing Sanofi Philippines for Mukul Solvan. Thank you. Congratulations. Now we come to... I have too many microphones here. This is my third. So for the Creative Award, the third prize went to Bactidol from Johnson & Johnson in Philippines, but I'm not sure, Sanji. So we have another colleague who will collect for J&J. I appreciate the rum.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Second prize was, my goodness me, the multinationals are doing well, but you were the voters, Panadol GSK. So, Raiza, if you are here, please come on up. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Just as well you came, Colin. Thank you very much. Thank you. And the winner, and Julia, who do you think won? So this is Combantrin from J&J. Please come and collect your prize. The secret of winning awards is to send lots of delegates to our conferences and to have some great products and some great campaigns. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we come to the last of the awards, which is the Worldwide Digital Award. So in third prize, Dactarin from J&J. So who's going to collect that prize for us? If you don't come, we'll mail it to you, and it might arrive. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. In second place, a local company, Combifar, IMO. Earl, are you there? You had so many technical difficulties yesterday. I think this is just reward for all your efforts. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's come around here so we can film you. Well done. See, I'm nice to my competitors. Earl is from IMS. And Worldwide Digital Award, the winner this year is Motrin from J&J. And if we have anyone who can come forward to collect, yes, please. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you. So thank you, everybody, for your patience, for the presenters, for those who didn't win, and for all of those who voted and for some worthy winners. So now we come to the final part, which is the summing up. And I have to go to another set of pieces of paper. So for the close, our conference is called The Evolving Consumer Journey. And we talked a lot about digital. And I think one of our speakers today, one of our panelists, one of our presidents said, you know what, this is almost like digital is everything, and digital is only one part of the consumer journey. So, of course, digital is about informing, it's about influencing, and it is about selling. And I thought that we were very lucky to see some very advanced activities presented at this conference in the lunch break. The artificial intelligence, data gathering, and management I thought was very impressive. That's the future, but of course we mustn't forget the today, which relies not just on digital. So e-commerce is very important, and again, one of our presidents said today that bricks and mortar we must not forget. So pharmacy is important. Pharmacy is important because it's the face-to-face in many instances with the consumer. If I can just say that based on that presentation you saw earlier from DKSH in Myanmar, there is also a companion report on Vietnam, and if anyone would like to know more about that, please talk to either the DKSH team or indeed ourselves. Bricks and mortar, we have to be careful that in all of our strategies, whether it's within retail pharmacy, whether it's in e-commerce, that we prevent the slide to generics, that brands stay in pole position. And in talking about the major trends that are evolving, we heard that very interesting comment from one of our presidents that the role of the salesman is dead, and I think that Steve already responded to that. I also, as a former sales manager, disagree. It's not that the sales force is dead, it's just that the role of selling is very different. And if we were having this conference in Latin America, which we will in a month's time be in Sao Paulo, we would be talking about a retail situation where in major chains you will have at any one time 12 in-store demonstrators literally fighting for merchandising space. In the GIs category, you may well have 3 merchandisers on the premises of a major drugstore outlet, a chain outlet, who are actively re-merchandising as you are there. As one merchandiser goes, another one comes. So in fact, having a sales force, having a merchandising team is the default mode. It's not something you can give up, and it's not something that actually gives you a gain. You just need to have that to stay where you are. So let's never forget that. We talked about new products. We talked about adjacencies, and that's one of the reasons why we gave the Special Achievement Award for 2018 to our colleagues from GSK for the excellent work of Sensodyne, which I think as far as consumer health is concerned, comes in from being an adjacency and has to be considered core. And the other activities that, or the other adjacencies that I'm particularly interested in, prescription to OTC switch, cannabis, we talked about that once or twice in the last 2 days, diabetes, I should say, and obesity. And I'm reading a book called Why We Sleep. And so from that point of view, I'm now very interested in this whole concept of mood, anxiety, and sleep. It's an amazing book, Why We Sleep, by Matthew Walker. And I always thought I was very privileged because I need only 5 hours sleep a night. And according to this book, I'm unlikely to make it to the age of 21 by only having 5 hours sleep a night. It does tell you some amazing things. It tells you, for example, and I really encourage everybody to read this book, and I encourage myself to finish the book. I'm only halfway through it. But it says, for example, that a baby who is in the womb, or a baby who is being breastfed, has a very substantial number of breaths each minute. But if the mother drinks alcohol, the number of breaths goes down to just 3 or 4 breaths. The baby is absolutely at risk, according to this book, according to the good science behind it, when mothers drink alcohol or drink caffeine. I've actually given up coffee since I started reading this book. It's quite amazing. Now, what does that all have to do with the consumer healthcare market? I've sent that book to one of my internal researchers for my New Paradigms Over the Horizons report, and I've said we will have a chapter on sleep, which is not just sleeping tablets, but it's a whole range of products and medical devices which will help sleep, which will compensate if you don't have sleep, because it goes all into the area of memory and concentration. I'm sure you all know this better than I do, but we need the sleep because basically the brain rearranges the storage of the memories that come in during the day. Without that 8 hours a day, you become as forgetful as I clearly am. So that's another personal mission for me and my team, which is to understand the sleep market and what the impact is of that on consumer healthcare. We didn't talk much about medical marketing and healthcare professionals, and I think that's a pity because they are big influencers on the consumer. So at the next meeting of this series, which we think will be in Singapore this time next year. I'm pretty sure that it will be in Singapore. We did think about going to China, but we'll do that another year. We don't have a title, but I think we definitely have to look at the role of the professional, the healthcare professional and the doctor. And we also, because my friend Vernon reminded us, this is my chance to get back on you now, as you've told so many bad jokes against me. You quite rightly reminded us, Vernon, that we didn't say very much about brand building, and you gave an excellent presentation, and also nicely dovetailed in with what Ralph said on brand building. Now, Vernon told you that he came into this market in 1988, and he was kind enough to say the only person still alive who was in the market then was myself. I actually remember Vernon coming to a conference I organized in 1991. He was in short trousers at the time, I seem to remember, and he was actually stopping off in Hong Kong at my conference to find out a bit more about the global trends in consumer healthcare, despite working for that great company for 3 years. And he came to our conference in Hong Kong and he said, I'm going to Tianjin next, and I don't speak Mandarin, and would somebody please write down the instructions to get to the factory from Tianjin Airport? And several of our delegates who spoke Mandarin wrote them down. There's another way you can do it, Vernon. They said, just show a packet of contact to the taxi driver. This brand is so famous, the taxi driver will take you to the factory straight away. And I don't know whether you used the written instructions or the pack of contact, but I gather you did get there eventually. So those are the major trends, and those are the major topics that we've discussed over the last 2 days. And I think, and I really do genuinely believe that the closing sessions, at the end of so many excellent sessions, that in a sense, Vernon and Ralph summarized the position of this conference in this industry. So I'm not going to go into all the detail about brand building and positioning, emotional benefits, all of which absolutely have to be followed if we want to achieve the rate of growth of more than the 4.5% that we're getting. So that's the end of the summary of the topics. Now let me just say a few words of thanks, and then we can say goodbye to each other. So the first is, I really do thank the Nicholas Hall events team, which is, in many respects, it's a new team. Now, Mary has been with us for several years, but the lady standing next to her, Antoinette, is a recent discovery, and Elizabeth, who's at the back, I think, is another part of our Manila team, because we've expanded into the Philippines, where we have 2 wonderful people. So that's the events team here, supported by many people like Philomena Pede and others in Europe. So. And what I like, and I have to say, having been in the conferences business for 30 years, because in Vienna next year we celebrate 30 years of running events, is that you know that you've got a good team, because every time you forget something, and in my case that's very frequently, the events organization team just put it in your hand and say, don't worry, Nicholas, we know you've lost your agenda, here's another copy. Or we know you haven't got the delegate list, here's a copy. Or don't worry about the awards, they're actually right behind you, which is a few of the many things that Mary, Antoinette, and Elizabeth have done for me today. So I personally thank you, and I think the audience does as well. In terms of the wonderful film unit, which has been filming us and live streaming us, my great son Jacob, who's there, there's James, who is not my son, but there is a vacancy if you want to apply, James. We live streamed yesterday, and you know what? YouTube had a power outage. So all that effort, and we recorded, and the great presentations and the entries for the Product of the Year award and Araxia's presentation, I believe that was live streamed. That was recorded, but it wasn't transmitted. So that we were already getting text messages from people saying, where is it? Where is it? We really want to watch it. Well, there we are. Of course, we say to them, there's no better place to be to watch it than in the room, but if you can't be here, then you will see only portions of this live streamed. Big thanks to Steve and Graham, my co-chairman, who make sure that I don't have to do all the work. In fact, they're so good I do hardly any work here, which is wonderful. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Graham. Graham introduced himself yesterday in very direct way. Who knows that we're in recruiting? And everybody did, but it was a chance for him just to remind you that we have a recruitment business. And Steve, my networking, my partner in training, and in the coming up to 3 years of being in that business, we've, I think the latest figures are we've trained 1,000 people, 50 companies in about 20 countries. So that's going very nicely. So thank you to you too. The very shy Katia, who didn't really want to do this at all, and who I think has gone underground, Katia Panteleva, who supported me on the awards and just made sure that we gave the right awards to everybody. So thank you, Katia. And the great speakers. And, you know, it isn't a closed shop. It really is a case of we want you to come forward with your ideas. So if you have a burning topic that you want to present, or if you have even just a mildly warm topic that you'd like to present, put your idea forward, because it's better to do that than to have Mary ring you up every 5 minutes and say, why don't you be a speaker? So I think, please volunteer. And of course, thanks to the delegates, we have a nominal delegate count of 110. I don't think we ever had 110 in the room, because it being Singapore, people are nipping in and out to their offices. But to have as many as we have at the end of a meeting is actually pretty good. It means that we've kept your imagination, which again, I think is a tribute to Vernon, the great actor. I haven't seen you do the diarrhea sketch before, and I'm not sure I want to see it again. And Ralph, who is another great performer. So thank you to you two, but thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to everybody. Next year will be bigger and better, and it will be that way because you will fill in your evaluation forms if you would be so kind, and that will tell us what you liked and what you didn't like, what can be improved, what was missing, and we take that all very seriously. We don't always agree. We're not always able to act. But it is really, that's our understanding our customer. That's our turning information into insights, into a better conference. And I believe we are still the only commercial conference. I think that your former company, IRI, IIR, IBC, so many, IBC, has left the field. So it's just the OTC associations and ourselves, I believe, now. So we are the biggest commercial conference. So from the bottom of my heart, I absolutely thank you for being a great audience. Hope to see you before this time next year as we go our various ways and our paths cross. If not, have a great week, have a great month, have a great year, have a great life, and let's get some energy into this market and let's grow by more than 4.5%. So on that happy note, let's say goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, and we'll meet next year. Goodbye.